All right, everyone, please welcome back for her second appearance, Tamilla Triantoro. She is, of course, the Associate Professor of Business Analytics and Information Systems at the School of Business at Quinnipiac University and the co-author of the book Converging Minds on Human AI Collaboration, which is technically kind of the overarching theme for our conversation today. We're going to talk a lot about that. But Tamila, it's so awesome to have you back on the podcast. I appreciate your time today. How are you doing? And how's it been over the last year or so since we've seen each other last?
Yeah, thank you, Andrew, and very happy to be here. And it seems like there are a lot of things that have changed, but also a lot of fundamentals are still the same. So really happy to have this conversation.
Yeah, me too, me too. And for folks that are interested, we did do a previous podcast just before 2024. You can go back. I encourage everyone to listen. And we're going to kind of try and build on that conversation here today. But it was about the human factor in AI. So, we're going to continue that theme a little bit here. But I'd like to start off with this first question here, Tamila, because you're going to be not only teaching for us at our upcoming TDWI San Diego event, but you're also going to be giving our keynote, which is very exciting. So I'd like to start off with that keynote here. And in the title of your keynote, you mentioned reskilling for AI-driven workplace. Can you talk a little bit about what kinds of skills or literacy do you think are becoming essential for everyone, not just for, the tech-focused group?
Yeah, absolutely. And AI literacy, I think, is as important as ever. It's like digital literacy back in the day. Everyone at the workplace should have some understanding how AI models work and some prompting skills, basically know how to interact with models. And AI models nowadays are really getting good. And we
Hmm.
can use simple prompts, lazy prompting, right? So basically, write a report. And the first version may look pretty decent, but it is also important to understand nuances. How to get better quality results, how to guide agentic AI, what type of prompts are required for that. And AI is not only a technology process, so you mentioned about tech folks, but it's also a human process. So I would focus on understanding where AI stands, where it helps, where humans bring value. So in general, how do we manage integration of AI tools into our daily work?
Hmm. I like the lazy prompting because I feel like that's what I do when I go on and just, poke around and have fun on my own, not necessarily job related. But I think that there is a notion that seems like, people are building sort of like a prompt library for folks to help guide them along the way. And I obviously, AI is going to be a huge proponent of people's work moving forward. So obviously very important skills for everyone to have, not just the tech folks, as you mentioned there. So also in your keynote, though, you'll be talking about that AI, human AI collaboration, and it's a big focus of the work that you do. Can you give us maybe a glimpse into what makes that interaction successful? And then on the other side, maybe what can go wrong with that as well?
Yeah, so in my research, we explore how AI can enhance, well, not just replace what people do. And last time we spoke, I said it's a great thing to offload boring tasks to AI, something that can easily be automated. And so that still stands. But now we're seeing more powerful models doing creative work too. And so the risk here is that we may end up just curating AI output. And I think that this is boring. So I'm much more interested in how people can use AI to think bigger,
Hmm.
conceptualize something, and build new things. So, well, you also ask what can go wrong,
Yeah.
and well, a lot of things can go wrong. I think over-reliance is a big one, not verifying outputs. Again, as models are getting better, output also gets more persuasive, more like looking like a true facts. And I've seen organizations depending too much on chatbots, and you've seen that too,
Hmm.
only to get burned by hallucinated answers, and that usually goes viral. So damages trust, damages reputation. So we can't outsource a responsibility to AI. So finding this balance, I think, is a constant discovery process. And the winners will be those who can envision new possibilities and needs, not just curating AI outputs, but basically be creative, build your ideas. So this is how I see it.
Hmm. That's excellent. And I do love I feel like in the previous one you talk about like augmented and enhanced capabilities with pairing human collaboration with AI, and I really do enjoy that notion that people can just really expand their own capabilities by using the right tools. And so because of that, I think I'm going to kind of transition into one of the master classes you'll be teaching for us. As I mentioned, you're doing the keynote. You're also teaching some courses. So in one of those master classes, you'll be exploring some of these AI tools being used in different industries. Is Can you maybe tell us a little bit about like one that might be surprising as far as the way that people are using AI that might not be expected?
So the one that excites me right now, maybe it is expected and of course well known, but I find the idea of vibe coding quite interesting.
Mm,
So this is using our natural speech, basically speaking in plain English to instruct models to build and deploy applications. So why I find it interesting is because it's not like it's a shortcut to avoid learning coding skills, but I see it as a powerful tool for critical thinking and creativity. So it is somewhat democratizing. So it can translate a feeling, an aesthetic, or just a high level concept directly into functional code that actually can be deployed and function. So
mm,
anyone can become a creator. And I think it can also solve a lot of different needs. For example, there are a lot of apps that scale because many people may need them. So there is demand for this, like say, general productivity app, but that often requires a dev team to build. But there could be apps that are so personalized based on our own habits, potentially health, personality, learning patterns, and those can be built just only if you can verbalize them. So I
mm.
find this fascinating. So here
Wow.
I'll see a lot of new products possibly will be developed.
Huh. That's very cool. So am I hearing this correctly? And when I'm thinking like each person can have their own within the same company, each person might have their own specific, model or AI, companion that they're working with that's kind of separate and individualized for each member of the company. Is that what you're thinking about there?
That's actually very interesting as well. I was thinking more on a personal level,
Huh.
but in a company, of course, that may require additional type of governance, right, as to how we
Sure.
design them and within what boundaries. But this is an interesting avenue as well.
Hmm.
Yeah, so I see possibilities.
Totally.
Possibilities are there.
No, that's great. All right. Okay, so in for this master class, is the focus more on like the consumption of AI or maybe on the building of AI when we're talking about this coursework here?
Yeah, I was thinking more of a consumption.
Hmm.
But it shouldn't be taking as consumption is just passive consuming of available tools. Because of course there is importance of tech implementation in AI, but there is also importance of leadership. And I think we need to cultivate this technology leadership or AI leadership right now because AI makes mistakes. AI can't take responsibility for mistakes, so that falls on the leaders' shoulders and reputation.
Hmm.
And that means that leaders need to develop technology literacy, also judgment, ability to ask the right questions, verify, and lead through uncertainty and lead responsibly. So this is what the focus is going to be.
Okay. Well, and are how are you seeing some of these leaders govern this use of AI? I know we kind of just touched on that a little bit there. And is that something that you'll go into a little bit in the course as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Because there are real shifts right now in how organizations approach this. And one example that stands out is a recent one, a leaked internal memo of a tech company, essentially that you probably know exactly
Hmm.
what I'm talking about. Yeah, essentially all employees should prove that if a task cannot be done with AI, then they are not going to get additional resources, right? So whatever you do, we have to think about AI first.
Hmm.
And this kind of shows where things are headed. So AI introduces new ways of allocating resources. It's quantitative, it's effective, efficient, but there is even talk about AI CEO.
Mm.
which maybe sounds like a distant idea right now, but there is a possibility that governance will become more automated. So think of a project manager, AI project manager, that assigns tasks efficiently and effectively based purely on skills and data. So in class, we will look at where this might lead and how leaders can shape and not just react to that possible future.
Hmm. Yeah, that was the first I've heard of AI CEO. That I would imagine might scare some folks. The potential of what that could mean for their own lives. But I do understand like with all of this automation and the ability for AI to complete these tasks so much faster than when humans were having to do it all by themselves. I can understand why it would make some sense to have at least a version of an AI CEO that would still
Yeah, well,
be
companion, yeah,
right.
something that really helps manage, right? So, of course, talking about AI CEO, there are certain elements that are entirely missing, like charisma and so personality. So these things, of course, we still need on human level.
Totally, totally. Okay, so for these leaders trying to introduce AI into their teams, it's happening, everywhere over the last year, definitely, and more companies are seeing the need here to introduce this into their systems. What's one practical thing that they can do to build trust and encourage adoption for the folks that they're trying to, make this implementation for?
Yeah, I think I would start with transparency. And if AI is making decisions, then people deserve to know on what basis and how it is implemented. For example, no one wants to be surprised by a bad performance review generated by a hallucinating bot. So that's not good. And in my research, one of the models I use is job demands resources. Basically, it's a framework that states that at every job, people are given resources to perform this job, but at the same time, there are also a lot of demands from the employer to the employee. And so AI serves as a resource. So it helps to do a lot of things faster, sometimes better, but it can also increase demands because employees now may feel like now with AI, they need to do more. There is a new learning curve, new performance benchmarks, fear of displacement. So AI can reduce demands, but it can also create new ones, and leaders need to manage this balance. So make the process visible, give people clarity, and I guess treat adoption as a dialogue. So it's more like a conversation rather than mandate.
Hmm. Yeah, that makes sense. I've also heard of, some sort of like internal marketing for, at least to get people excited about it as, as you're moving towards this and the capabilities that it will unlock for them. I've seen that as well, but it's one of these things where trust is difficult and asking people to, take something that might be what used to be tribal knowledge and just believe that this system is going to be able to kind of catch on to what they've done and get it correct. I know that's going to always be an issue when it comes to AI and hallucinations. But are you seeing anything in particular as far as any tools or maybe any trends that are making this process a little easier as far as like being able to track the lineage or at least see some code? As far as like the decision-making process for any of these AIs? Is that a capability that exists at this stage?
Well, it seems like there are indeed getting better, more intuitive. Answers seem to be better researched. And of course, we have a lot of, well, so-called deep research or yeah, pro experimental models that produce much better output. So I think technology is still developing. I hope to see even better results. And of course, with human input, I think everything is possible.
That's excellent. Just a reminder for folks, as I mentioned here at the top, Tamilla, if you're interested in more information, I'll put the links in the description of this episode for both the keynote and the masterclass that we discussed here today. But Tamilla, I did want to give you an opportunity here. I mentioned at the top as well that you co-authored a book, Converging Minds on Human and AI Collaboration. Did you want to mention anything here for folks regarding that book and maybe where to find it for everyone?
Yeah, absolutely. So the book is sold, well, almost everywhere where books are generally sold. And in the masterclass, we're going to use some of the techniques that we identified, basically methods of how to collaborate with AI effectively, depending on the nature of the task, what to do to, spend as little time as possible and to get the best output possible. So we are going to use some of the techniques from that book that we wrote with Alexandra Przegalińska.
Fantastic. Well, that's amazing. And I do appreciate your time here, Tamila. It's always a great conversation when I have you on. I look forward to our next time that we get to talk. But I am going to let you go at this stage. And again, as a reminder for folks, you can check out Tamila in TDWI San Diego coming up in August. And it'll be a great conference with Tamila and a whole host of other experts that we have there. A lot of great information going on. So, Tamila, thank you again for your time today. Really appreciate it and have a good rest of your day.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
To subscribe to the Speaking of Data podcast or to learn more about TDWI's research and training on all things data management and analytics, visit tdwi.org or click the link in the description below. Thanks for tuning in.